I got some stuff for YouTube today for you guys. This carburetor left Kentucky 2.5 weeks ago. It finally came. It's one of those Chinese knockoffs. So while if I cough in this video, it's a little tight in here with the wood stove because I had it turned up at well, we woke up at 0 degrees. We're up to a whole 9 degrees right now here. So it's turned up on the flamethrower cycle, and I'm going to let it, hopefully it's going to die down a little bit. I went a little overboard and I put some birch on to get two of these other logs going. I have some, in the cold weather, I save those log pieces because you can go to sleep and wake up and you're okay. So let's not talk about wood stoves. Everybody's got their own stories. Everybody's got their own technique. One thing, one technique, okay, that Summit used to have. They used to have some knowledgeable people that worked in this industry, and this is what I'm out to change because I'm going right down their throat again. I called Kent. I'm trying to get to some of their corporate tunas in Summit because I have an intelligent suggestion. They took my suggestion about the cell phone that I could take a picture and talk to them and they could receive and transmit. They know what I'm working with. Finally, they went along with that. Okay, maybe I'm not the first guy to have come up with it, but it sounded like it was all new because they got me on on the phone with that Chris. That's when we had that problem with Jegs too, with the heads, and then I went to Summit to solve another problem to get more parts and pieces. That was during COVID, but I did talk to the corporate tuna on Summit. So I'm not going to bore you with a long bullshit. I'll get to unboxing this. We need an interactive network. You know, like Kevin Brown, Junkyard Digs, young guy, and him and that Thunderhead 289. He gets a little sensitive when you try to be facetious with him. Hopefully, he's maturing a little bit because I won't say those guys. They know they're forward and they know what they're doing. But Summit needs to create a network when you have a question, okay? Because it goes back to old stock cars and carburetors, okay? You could get a reversion inside the intake if you used certain things. Stock cars were known for that back in the day. Now, different intakes and different adapters and stuff over the years solve that. The best thing to solve it with is the proper intake if you're going to run a modified or something. But back in the day, if you hit the wall, bang, and then you'd see the cars cranking, and then all of a sudden you see 12-foot flames. Well, that's part of reversion because it loads up the intake and the cylinders would fuel, and then if the car does refire, then you get those, you know, those sporadic, erratic flames out the pipes. That's what happened to my late wife that I married from the Philippines. She had never seen a fire-breathing monster, you know, with big wheels, open wheels and stuff on it like that. And when that thing cranked over, it had the reversion. It was trying to get going. My dad hit it with a little bit of alcohol and starting fluid, and the thing threw like a 12-foot flame. Well, she soiled herself totally. You know, people that aren't used to that sort of thing, it's quite a spectacle to see it. But what causes that is called reversion. And I believe that's kind of a problem I'm having with that Offenhauser intake. And I have an open adapter plate. So we're going to get going on the unboxing, okay? And then I'll give you my political commentary. I wanted to first thank North Point because he's an IT guy. I think he's going to get me into being able to edit and bring certain things into my videos that I would like to do. So North Point is from Indiana. He was on my channel. Some of these guys, they respect the information that I convey to them. A lot of it's general knowledge. Some people know it, but the younger generations or the guy that's an occasional weekend warrior, well, hey, I didn't know that, or thanks for the tip. A lot of people never saw, if anybody saw that video of my welder cart, you know, it's on a hand truck and you could just wheel it right up to the job and boom, you're done. Because these pocket welders, they have very short leads and so forth. So you can maneuver that sucker right into wherever you're working, and you don't have to worry about lead length and extension cords and everything like that. You can just roll out your extension cord, give it an extra 5 feet, and you can, 10 feet, and you can go around the whole vehicle. So one thing I did notice about, I did cut the tape to get the video going and take a peep inside the box. Something Holley doesn't give you, and even Edlebrock. Well, maybe Edlebrock does. It's been a while since I bought one. It's in English. Hallelujah. It even gives you a breakdown. It even tells you what the different parts you know, even if you're a rookie, remember what I told you, what they called something years ago? They might call it something different now. But you have a goddamn breakdown of that carburetor and every part in it. And then you have a schedule. You see a schedule? Remember I was talking about that for the last, what, 5 years of dealing with these auto parts? You're dealing with a broken part and you're trying to call the vendor or get on Fleabay or Scamazon, just like I got scammed with that printer head, and you're trying to convey what's wrong with it. Well, you don't rightly know what the part's called, or maybe you know the old name, but you don't know what they're calling it now, and there's no fucking schedule in the box. I mean, what a way to run a railroad. So this Chinese knockoff comes with everything you really would want. I don't have a problem so far with it. Look at that. Not like Holley gives you jets and you got to guess what the fuck they gave you. These jets are numbered. I mean, this is very thought out. You get your gasket. I mean, actually, you get a gasket. Holley doesn't even give you block offs with their carburetors. Here you got your block offs. If you're running manual transmission, standard brakes, or maybe you got hydraulic boosted brakes, electric rather. Okay, we got something in the way there. We're going to fold that down. That's one of those patterns. That's a pattern for frames. And look, something else Holley doesn't give you. Edlebrock always gave you that. They gave you a lead that fits and doesn't fall off the electric choke, if you have electric choke, which this is not supposed to be electric choke. But they included that in the box anyway, even though I bought manual choke. Now, we're not going to touch this carburetor outside of getting it what it needs. I see this got a plug in the back. Now, one of my questions, am I going to use that for my power brakes? Because this is going to be mounted transverse on my intake. Okay, just like a transverse engine. Okay. Uh-oh, somebody's emailing me again. So, what do I think so far? What I think so far is going to happen here, mark my words, I bet you I bolt that carburetor on, and I bet you I don't have a problem with it. How do I know that? I'm a big fan of the Carter AFB. Guys are trying to bring the Rochester back and all that other happy horse shit. They can have their Rochesters. I had a belly full of their Rochesters, and a lot of that was foreign-made Chinese garbage parts and things like that with the Rochester. Because nowadays you can actually get a reproduction Rochester for about $250. I think I was telling you, a young guy, he has a Pontiac, I believe. Well, there's a couple young guys I know, but the guy I'm talking about has the Bonneville. And he bought a, I think that's a 70 Bonneville. Beautiful car, convertible. I guess a relative passed away, and there was some sort of probate deal for a couple dollars. You can have the car, son. So he brought the car home, but the fuel tank was shit. And the fuel tank, naturally, if a car sits 25, 30 years, drop the tank. These guys that are going in these junkyards and getting vehicles running, and 3/4 of them know better. They're learning to bring their substitute fuel tank to get them running. That's kind of a fantasy that you're going to just walk into a junkyard, pour something down the carburetor and fire it over with a couple old plug wires and file the points down. A lot of that's built in fantasy. Those guys, they go over that stuff, and the reason you can't see the dirt falling off the important parts, you see it all over maybe the intake or something, but you already see the distributor's been gone into, and there's not a, you know, it's been all cleaned off. There's a couple guys I caught them in their little fantasies, but all right, now political commentary, something that's not in the mainstream news. Remember what I told you about uneducated people? That's how they got around to MSNBC and CNN. You see, people on fixed and limited incomes, they don't have the internet and stuff like we have it. The versions where you can go, and this Joe North Point's going to get me other places that I'm going to be able to get more knowledge. You see, knowledge is power. So Soros is buying up all the AM radio stations. Now, I used to be on WILK radio. I was a setup guy. I used to pick on Steve Corbett here in the Northeast, near the Wilkesboro, Scranton area. I was a veteran that got home. I got in with Ricky Pies, the station manager, Sue Henry, and I used to give that guy shit. I gagged him real good one time. I called him up. This guy was one of those pro-communist protagonists for communism, and I called him up the one time. I says, "Hey, Steve," I says, "go buy yourself a piece of rope and some marbles." I said, "It's going to help you." He says, "Well, what do you mean, Uncle Dutch?" I says, "Well, you take that, you go out on Route 78, and you go play fucking marbles." I says, "It'll do you good." So when I used to call in, the whole station used to have to go to commercial. Sometimes they never finished the show because I used to shut that guy down tight. Um, never fool with a former Marine, especially a naval commander. So now what I'm going to get to, okay, Soros is going to buy up all the AM radio stations. And that's going to be your subliminal programming for these anarchists, because they're only going to get the one-sided view of things. If you don't know, if they keep calling somebody bad on a certain channel and that's all you have access to, you actually subscribe and believe in those values. So I think our Congress and Trump better stomp on Soros's little communist pecker. Trump has a job to do. But if you're going to go to programming a certain segment of the underprivileged in society, a lot of those people from birth, they're undereducated, not even by choice. It's just where you grow up and the public school system that you're indoctrinated into. Because as it's being displayed, these school systems, they're being used as a tool for communist programming, and also for telling your 8-year-old that doesn't know what he is yet, or her, that they're a different sex than what they are. Talk about reversion, okay? Not just in carburetors, in education. The plan is to contact your congressman, even though I'm going to have to go down, just like I'm talking about this. You're creating an entitlement class. Now, the other entitlement classes are government officials. Like here, I don't pay my trash bill. Now they're on my back about that. Why don't I pay my trash bill? Because I haul my own fucking trash because they don't pick it up. One thing I'm going to do when this weather quits and the road shoulders are exposed, I'm going to show you people the trash that people dump all over here. There are actually some things that I don't have my shop truck going back, so I'm relying on another gentleman. He comes, Roger Marth, the trash guy that I had, got out of the business, and then another guy took over, and he's only about half as reliable. So that's the situation I'm in. But how much trash do you think one guy and a couple pussycats make? And 3/4 of the stuff goes to recycling, because there's guys that come down from New York that know the guy that I have that picks up what I have, and they take it back there and get money for it. So I do recycling. I'm doing my part. Why am I paying a trash bill? Well, it's part of your fucking entitlement crew in these local and municipal governments, and then they get to be bullies about it. And then, they start insisting it's a tax when it's not a tax. No, it's a municipal service. And if you want to refuse it, okay, I don't want to be subjected to a fucking monopoly, okay? I'm tired of the government entitlement, okay? As soon as they take over with their total entitlement like they're doing, you only get half of what you need, okay? I just recently bought another camera system, updated system. Came with half of what I need. Half the cameras. It came with half the cameras, and it came with no hard drive. So I can't record right now. Now, the hard drive's supposed to be here on Saturday. But you think you're getting something complete. This goes back to what I'm talking about. Your children being programmed to accept half of what the norm is. And that's by giving them half the information. So we're losing a lot in our society and our educational system. Just like I said with Summit. Summit and Jegs are going to become dinosaurs unless they have some technical support. Now, do I want to be bothered all the time by phone calls with stupid questions? Sometimes I have to ask stupid questions. Because if you don't ask a stupid question, you make a stupid mistake. And especially if you're new to the industry. What Summit and Jegs are doing is denying themselves their future clients, their future customers. You got to build a network where we can share some information on what works and what doesn't work. And that can also cut down on their inventory and their buying, because let's just sell what really works. Now, let's not go there where you're going to have to pay the ungodly price for that because it's warranty and they say it works. There are other optional products. That's with technical support. And here in the Northeast, where these people are impoverished in my area, pretty much they need something fixed for, a Social Security check or two. It ain't happening anymore, even with the cheaper parts. But building a network where you have options and you have knowledgeable people, I think would be something that I want to work on. So I need your comments in the comments section. And I like some of these gurus. I know some of those guys. They have their kinfolk working for them or other people. It would be nice to build a network where we can share pertinent information. We can get the word out about new products, whether they work or they don't. Or does the product need some tweaking to make it work? Those are all things that you can share through a network. Now, there's Ford forums. I have found them. Ford truck. There are forums, different forums. That's another thing you can put in the comment sections, active forums. Because most of them, it seems one guy answers a question and he gets a half-assed, nonsensical answer. Okay? I would like to build a network where there's actually permanent knowledge on, you type in, truck is doing this, you might get a surprise of an answer. Okay? 3 people have been here this winter. My son, he's been in 3 different trucks since 12:30 this afternoon. He goes in at 6 o'clock. All of them are gelled up, bad fuel, diesel. My son drives a truck, but he's been in 3 different rigs since this morning because they're all conking out because the fuel additives these days are garbage. It'd be nice to share fuel additive products. Project Farm, I look at that guy. I told you, he's another guy that I look at. But get where I'm going with this. Sharing knowledge on what works and having a constantly active platform where people can ask questions, get answers. There's plenty of times I get to sit down and I'm a little bored because I got to think about something else. Or sometimes I got a problem and I got to take my mind off of it. And go behind the keyboard and maybe I can get something done for you. Take your problem away. In the same token, maybe I can look to solve my problem on that forum. So those are things that I'm all looking at for the future to bring us outside of we're on a new day. And I will cover that with the trash up here, how bad it is. We got to get rid of these entitlements. And I got a better chance of contacting Jesus Christ. It is tight in here. It's not the cigarette. It's the heat. This thing should have been dying down an hour ago. I got a better chance of contacting Jesus Christ himself than I do my actual senator or state representative, Dane Watrow. They're all of about fucking worthless. They get in there and they slither down the rat tube and they start filling their pockets with the special interests. That's like another thing. You call those agencies, the government and the state agencies, press the Spanish option. Because if you go with the regular option for the regular people like us, you ain't going to get an answer. And you get an answering machine, just like I called John Fetterman's office. It's no good. Press the Spanish option, you get somebody right there. Imagine that. Or they got a bunch of half-wit kids working in their office, kind of like Watrow does. See, I never got a renewal for my driver's license. I never got the camera card, so maybe that's another phone call I should make after I end the video, is our state agencies, they become entitlement communities. The culture of corruption, as they call it. That's, like I said, that was why I joined WILK Radio, because a lot of the corruption in the Luzerne County area has been exposed. Luzerne, compared to Carbon, Luzerne is a pussycat compared to Carbon. Nobody has yet to tackle Carbon County. Now, there's a couple forums on Facebook. Stay out of Carbon County, Pennsylvania. I'm going to tell you something. Those people, they would steal out of their own mother's purse. But we got to get rid of the entitlements, okay? That's about what I had to say. I don't want to be redundant. People like to listen to me. They like my opinions. And like I said, I got a lot of nice comments. Thank you, people. I have my channel is attracting an intellect, believe it or not. Some of the people on there, they have an intellect. I especially appreciated Joe, North Point. Thank you, Joe. Okay. that's about what I have, and I'm going to let you know. I need a few more parts and pieces to make this thing work. I could see just by taking it out of the box, I need some other stuff. So we'll go over that, what I need, okay, too. You'll be with me when I do hook that on the truck, and I'll show you what I had to buy for it and how I made it work. Thanks.